Welcome to another Staggered Mayhem showcase. If you can hear me in chat, I would like you to type out your best imitation of the Edecunes and the dance that they do when they teach you how to wall jump. Do, 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 do. That sound.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Looks like the runners are almost ready. Our first runner is going to be Zero. This is the any percent all bosses category. If you're not familiar with the categories, go to the Super Metroid Speedrunning Wiki. They have a great section there on getting started in speedrunning, including a list of the categories. And any percent all bosses is one of those categories that is a fantastic category to start with. The reason is because in order to be quick at any percent, you have to skip grapple. And it is very challenging when you're first starting out and you're learning all these tricks. You have to, on top of learning how to grab early supers and everything else, to also have to learn how to jump over the moat without grapple and how to kill a Dragon without grapple. So this is a fantastic category to start with. We have two runners off. Zero is just finishing his fight with Ridley for the first time. We will see Ridley again later on. Secret Structures is about to start the Ridley fight. I didn't catch which pronoun I'm supposed to be using in Secret Structures. Someone could fill me in on that. I appreciate it. Zero looking good, getting through that falling tile room and then coming up and falling down just a little bit and having trouble with the steam in that very last room of the escape from Ceres station, just before the station explodes. Well, Secret Structures is right on Zero's tail. And there we go. We can see the station exploding and Samus's ship flying away. My 3-year-old son likes to say that this ship is the smiling ship, because you'll see in just a moment when the ship lands on Zebes that the ship does in fact have a smile on its face. It is the happiest spaceship that a space bounty hunter could ever want. Zero will then be heading to pick up the first upgrade in the game, which is the Morph Ball, if you are familiar with Super Metroid, or the Maru Marie, if you're more familiar with the original NES game. I'm old enough to have remembered when both of those games came out and enjoyed playing them. This is a game that, even to this day, even when we have a lot of 3D games and real-time strategy games and all sorts of other games, that it even today, it still has a lot of appeal. It is such a fun game that has really stood the test of time. Zero is now in the pit room, and it's called the pit room because it has the little pits that you want to try to avoid falling into. And Zero is demonstrating that for us. Secret Structures falling down through the climb room. Later, we will see both of the runners climb up through the climb room. And it is a very long climb back up, similar to the climb in Raid's area in the first game, which turns out is a lot more annoying. They made this climb a lot less annoying and put it earlier on, so it would teach you a lot about climbing instead of you find yourself halfway through the game and all of a sudden you have to figure this stuff all out. The next item after the Morph Ball is the Alpha Missiles. And the items in this game, runners often, there is more than one item that you pick up, they name them with the Greek letters, Alpha and Beta. So there's Alpha and Beta missiles and Alpha and Beta power bombs. We won't see either of the runners probably today pick up either of the Beta upgrades, but they will pick up either the Alpha power bomb upgrade or the power bombs at Crocomire. one of the categories where you actually have the option to pick up one or the other depending on your preference. And I believe one route is faster than the other, of course. But I don't know what difference in speed that is. Gymnastics, meanwhile, is probably sipping a cup of coffee, waiting for the 15-minute offset to pass, and is going to have a big challenge ahead to try and catch up. It's always interesting when you're the runner in front, and you know that runner behind you has the ability to catch up. It puts a little bit of pressure on you. And if you're the runner behind, I have actually never been the runner behind, so I don't know what that's like. But I imagine there's also pressure on you to try and catch up because you have to skip sometimes a lot of the safeties that you would normally take in a race in order to try and make up for starting late. The next room is called Parlor, and then after Parlor, the runners use their morph ball for the third time and head over to Bomb Terizo. Some people call him Bob Terizo, and have other fun names. If you have a fun name for Bomb Terizo, feel free to share it in chat. This is the bomb upgrade, and it will allow you to break some blocks that you otherwise would not be able to break, and allow you to do bomb jumps. Bomb jumps were a staple of the original game, and you could reach all sorts of places that you wouldn't be able to otherwise reach. I don't think it's required to bomb jump in either game, but it's something that runners figure out early on, that the bomb propels you up in the air, and that you can make use of that with more than one bomb to go even higher. This next part is called Alcatraz, and the Alcatraz escape is one of the challenging parts of the game, but saves about 17 seconds if I remember correctly. Zero getting it right on the first try while Secret Structure's falling and trying again. And as you can see, it's sometimes you just have to say enough is enough and go the other way, rather than taking the risk of trying over and over. Zero did pick Jack Tool as his sprite rather than Samus, and is looking good in that skin. So normally we wouldn't see Shack Tool in any of the races, but we get to see a lot of Shack Tool today. Shack Tool is one of the cutest little robots in the whole game. Certainly a lot cuter than the work robots that we will see in Wrecked Ship. They look like trash cans or deformed Daleks if you're a Doctor Who fan. Zero now demonstrating the way to get to the early supers. It's the first opportunity we have to really make use of that mock ball.
You can do this at Secret Structures.
An early skip of one of the bosses we will have to see later. It's faster to come back when you have more power-ups to fight Spore Spawn, but in this category, it's perfectly viable to go and fight Spore Spawn as your first mini-boss. I doubt Cavnastics will be fighting Spore Spawn first, so you will have to wait to see that crazy, angry plant. First beam upgrade that the runners will pick up is Charge Beam. Da-da-da-da-da-da! Charge, if you're a baseball fan. How do you prevent an elephant from spending too much money at the mall? You take away his Charge Beam. The next big question is whether the runners will go up or down Red Tower. I suspect Zero is going to go down Red Tower and fight Kraid. Some other runners might choose to go up and fight Fantoon first. So this is what we call the old route, going to fight Kraid first, or the new route, going to fight Fantoon first. And the new route is slightly faster, but riskier. And Kevnastix tells me that all of the runners today are doing KPDR, so we won't see any route divergence there, but we might see some route divergence later on as the runners choose to defeat some of the mini-bosses in a different order. In particular, I believe it's faster to fight Crocomire later because you can fight Crocomire at the same time that you pick up Ice Beam, but then you have to not pick up Grapple and not have Grapple for getting across the moat and not have Grapple for fighting Dragon. So that's something that we could see the runners going either way on, and both would be perfectly reasonable choices depending on your skill level. Zero doing a great job of avoiding the yapping maws. Those are those claws that you see coming out of the ground. Secret Structures going and picking up that Spazer Beam, which is the second beam upgrade that you pick up. When you first play this game, you might notice, hey, one of these blocks is not like the others. I wonder what is up there. And you're proud of yourself for figuring it out, that, hey, oh, I got an upgrade for this. Then you start speedrunning the game and you learn, this actually has some negative effects, like since my beam is bigger, I have to do different things in order to make it go where I want it to go. Both of the runners so far have picked up their Spazer Beam early, but some runners prefer to pick it up later because, for example, coming out of the room where you pick up your speed booster, it can be a little bit annoying. Zero starting his fight with Kraid, and we will see if Zero does the Kraid quick kill, the KQK as we call it. And here we go. Will Zero gets the KQK? Yes! Yes, Zero got the Kraid quick kill. Otherwise, it takes a little while for you to wait for Kraid to stand up, and adds a little bit of extra time to your run, a minimum of 9 seconds if I remember correctly. But often a lot longer than that, depending on how much ammunition you have remaining, especially if you skip Spazer. If you do have to do a stand-up Kraid, it's a whole lot easier if you have charge and Spazer than if you just have charge or you don't have any beam upgrades at all. And let's see, is Secret Structures going to get the quick kill? Looks like Secret Structures is going to demonstrate for us how powerful that Spazer Beam is early on against Kraid and just how convenient it is. You can see down to one super, and if Secret Structures did not have that Spazer upgrade, it would have required some farming in order to have enough ammunition to finally defeat Kraid. And I'm looking in chat. Did anyone... I don't see any response to my question. Perhaps I missed it as to which pronoun I'm supposed to be using with Secret Structures. Zero's next item to pick up is going to be the high jump boots. And is going to pick up... Yeah, it's picking up the high jump boots. And as the name suggests, these boots allow you to jump higher. Kevnastix says he for Secret Structures. Okay, fantastic. So I'm glad I wasn't getting that wrong. I have a high-pitched voice, and so on the phone I've been called she before, and so I can very much understand why people do not appreciate being called the wrong pronoun, because I have been called the wrong pronoun many times in my life. Secret Structures is going to also be going down and picking up the high jump boots. Meanwhile, Zero is going to be heading, I believe, over to Bubble Mountain. And you'll see in a moment why it's called Bubble Mountain. Because there's a bunch of bubbles. And it resembles a lot of the bubble rooms in the original Metroid. And runners of this game sometimes get annoyed at how challenging it is to navigate this room, especially when you don't have some of the upgrades if you're a randomizer player, when you don't have the high jump boots. The original bubble rooms in Metroid, I believe you could actually soft lock. And so, in my opinion, this is a lot easier and better designed. Zero, of course, has a palette swap, and I really, really like the choice of colors here. It reminds me of those old CGA color graphics array graphics on the IBM PC. The magenta and cyan and white colors that were so iconic for that era in computing. Secret Structures working through Cathedral, and then Rising Tide is the name of the room following that, as the tide rises as you roll through this room. And the rolling through this room is if you're not doing a damage boost, is, it turns out, actually faster than taking the route through the top. Contrary to what you might think, that liquid down there might slow you down. Zero demonstrating that power of the speed booster, which is really going to make the game go a whole lot faster. And those beautiful echoes that follow normally Samus, but in this case Shaq Tool. Meanwhile, Secret Structure is demonstrating the arm pumps, which move Samus 1 pixel for every arm pump. And gets down to that speed booster just a little bit more quickly doing those arm pumps. And then on the way out, still doing those arm pumps because it helps. But my oh my, isn't that speed booster a whole lot faster than on the way in. Zero picking up the wave beam. If everyone would wave to someone next to you, or pretend to wave to someone next to you. If there's no one next to you, there's nobody next to me. So I'm just waving at my computer monitor. And this is where we might see some divergence. Will Zero head down to Croc, or will Zero head up to Fantoon next? I'm waiting in suspense to see what is going to happen. And you notice Zero's taking a path down there through those blocks. If Zero had power bombs, then there's a shortcut. But Zero has not picked up power bombs yet, and is in fact going to go past the entrance where you would normally go to Croc. We'll see what happens next. Secret Structures showing off just how much higher you can jump with those high jump boots and with Speed Booster. You don't have to go through that lower door, you can go through that upper door, and saves just a little bit of time. Zero did not go the other way to get ice, so skipping ice for now, which is going to make for a slightly more challenging red tower, and just missing that Shine Spark through the room under no, is that the room under Spazer is called the room under Spazer, but I just realized it's not actually under Spazer. It's called below Spazer on the wiki, but it's not below Spazer, is it? The next room over is below Spazer. Zero working his way up the red tower past those rippers, they're called. They look like they're machines with squinty eyes, is what I always imagine them looking like. And they make in the original game a metallic clink, 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 clink sound when you shoot at them. They don't quite make that same sound in this game. Secret Structure is trying to demonstrate the mock ball out and not quite getting it, so is going to have to demonstrate this technique where you make the bombs bounce into the air by I forget exactly how you do it. It involves charging up the charge beam and dropping the bombs. And if you just do that, then you end up with 5 bombs on the ground. There's something else you have to do in addition to that to get the bombs to go up into the air. Zero is made way up Red Tower, and Kevnastics is leaving Teresa. There was such a large gap I missed when Kevnastics started. I was following Kevnastics in chat, and I suspect we'll be seeing a little bit less of Kevnastics in chat now that he's playing. And Zero is going to demonstrate how to charge over the moat since he doesn't have grapple. This is one of the 2 ways that you can get over the moat without grapple, the other being the continuous wall jump. Abbreviation for that is CWJ. If you ever hear somebody talking about the CWJ, that's what they're talking about, is getting across the moat just by using Samus's innate jumping ability. Secret Structure's using that damage boost off of the spikes to get through Hellway just a little bit faster than it otherwise would be, and it looks really, really good. And this next damage boost in the room with the alpha power bombs, not quite getting that and having to use the ice beam to freeze the happy bouncy creatures. I can't remember what those are called. They do look happy though, don't they? Like little happy tribbles. But of course, we all know what happened to the crew of the Enterprise when they met the Tribbles. The Tribbles turned out to be trouble, and so do those creatures. They tend to be trouble if you don't damage boost correctly. Surprised to see Secret Structure going back down after the alpha power bombs. We will see what happens next. I'm curious. I suspect going to Croc, but there might be something else that he has in mind. Meanwhile, Zero is making really quick work of Antoon, the space elephant ghost. You can see just a little bit of that elephant's trunk and these little whiskers coming off the side. And you know it's a ghost because it fades in and out just like a ghost in a cartoon would. Gymnastics showing us that mock ball in the Green Hill Zone, named after the Green Hill Zone in Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis. Sonic the Hedgehog is another game that has really great music, just like Super Metroid. The Metroid series is always been known, I believe, for having really fantastic music throughout the ages. And there we go. We see Antoon flashing red, which is an indication that And Toon has in fact been defeated and then fading away with the back and forth swirly pattern. Secret Structures is going back up Red Tower again, it looks like. The next big upgrade we're going to see Zero pick up is the gravity suit. I always wondered why it's called the gravity suit. It doesn't give you any more gravity. If you're in a non-water room, it feels just like a regular suit. It feels just like any other suit would. And then you get in a room with water, then you can move through that water a whole lot more quickly, as if the water were suddenly less viscous. So I like to call it the viscosity suit because it lowers the viscosity of whatever liquid you're in. You can see how much easier it is to get up the Red Tower with that ice beam versus having to navigate through the rippers. And Secret Structure's choosing not to do the damage boost the second time forward through Hellway. Some runners like to take a safety save right there in the Caterpillar room. Secret Structure's skipping that save. There's another opportunity for a safety save at the ship. We'll see what Secret Structures does since the detour did put him a little bit behind. And Kipnasik's about to head over to what we call bowling, because the statue there is going to go bowling with you, turn into a little ball. I'll see exactly what that means in a moment. Kipnasik's leaving Kraid's area with the Varia suit as a prize. We can disagree on the pronunciation of Varia or Varia. I think both of those are equally valid pronunciations depending on what you believe the reason for it being called that is. And if you do a Google search, you can find lots of really interesting stories. Some people say that it's a mispronunciation or mistranslation of barrier, in which case you would think it would be pronounced similar to the English word barrier. But some people think that it is similar to a Japanese word, and I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know the correct pronunciation of that word. Not sure exactly what happened on Zero's screen. My screen, it just jumped a little bit. I think I lost some frames. We have two boss fights on screen at the same time, while Kipnasik's picking up those high jump boots. They're very, very fashionable boots. As is the speed booster, which is also considered... Oh no! We have a forfeit from Zero. Zero is now practicing. GG Zero was looking like a really, really good run. I hope that our other runners have a little bit better luck with their boss fights. Those boss fights can be very, very dangerous, especially if you're skipping a lot of the upgrades that you're familiar with. And if I remember correctly, Zero did PB in the last race of this category, and so can't take a lot of the safeties that he used to be able to take. And so is having to work on becoming faster instead, which is awesome. So there is no shame in that at all. And it's awesome to see runners get faster and faster as time goes on. Superstructures thought he was ending Fantoon with a super because of the color of Fantoon. But that color was deceptive and didn't quite bring Fantoon's hit points down to 0. So instead, we're going to see this Nintendo Power strat where you use your charge beam to do a pseudo screw, very similar to the screw attack that you pick up later in the game. And it allows you to avoid those flames from the enraged space elephant. And now we see Fantoon flashing, and we're going to see the squirrelies like we saw with Zero. You have Nastics with a fantastic damage boost off of the bats. And going to pick up his wave beam. Falling down. And if you do ever fall down in that room, it can be really, really frustrating to climb back up, especially if you don't know the timing of those platforms that are moving up and down. But Cavnastics just got right back up very, very quickly. That was a fantastic job, and is now picking up the wave beam. Secret Structure's going for those left side supers. There are 2 super missile packs in the wreck ship right after Fantoon for you to pick up, one on the left and one on the right. So the one on the left we call the left side supers. The one on the right we call, I can't remember what those are called. The ones on the right are called the right side supers. So Secret Structure skipping the right side supers, just picking up the left side supers. That's one of the first super packs that you learn to skip when you're learning any of these categories, but is really easy to skip in this category because you get that extra super pack from Spore Spawn, and then yet another extra super pack when you fight Old Terizo. So it allows the opportunity of still getting through the Zebatites, but also skipping some super packs that you would normally have to pick up. Gymnastics making his way through Business Center and then is going to go up to Fantoon. So we have all 3 of the runners doing Crocomire later in the run. So we'll see if it looks like the runners are going to do the KPDR route that is on the wiki. And in the wiki KPDR route, they do, of course, KPDR, Kraid, Fantoon, Dragon, and Ridley. And Spore Spawn, who would normally be the first mini-boss that you would fight after Terizo, ends up being the last. So we're going to have to wait to see the Angry Plant. If any of you have allergies, then you know just how awful those spores can be. Ever look at a microscopic image of spores, they really do look like torture devices. And in fact, they do torture you. Secret Structure's picking up that gravity suit, and now Samus is purple. And I really, really like the purple. In the original game, when you pick up the Varia suit, you get a white suit with a red helmet. And in this game, when you pick up the Varia suit, you just get this disappointing rust color. I like old cars. I'm not afraid of rust. But I have to admit, the purple suit beats the rust color any day of the week. And we have a high five between Secret Structures and Cavnastics on the elevator. Secret Structures going down Red Tower. Secret Structures leaving Red Tower and heading up. Cavnastics leaving Red Tower and heading up to Fantoon. See if Cavnastics chooses to do the charge across the moat. Yes. And is going for the ocean fly, and the missile did not open the door, so is going to have two options for getting across, and the one is to do a second spark. Of course, that uses up some energy, and you can also just jump across, but if you've picked up your high jump boots already, then jumping across there is a little bit more difficult. So you can avoid a trip to the pause menu if you arc across at the expense of, if you can see, Essex has 2 energy tanks empty, and that makes the Fantoon fight just a little bit more dangerous. Essex has done this Fantoon fight many times, going for that speed ball to try and break the block without using a bomb. It's a little bit faster that way, it ends up having to use a bomb. And now we see the elephant ghost coming up onto the screen for the 3rd time. Superstructure's freezing the fish in order to jump up, instead of doing a wall jump, and then going to pick up the, looks like picking up the crab supers. Named at the crab supers because there's this cute little crab there, which the fastest way to pick up those supers is to kill the crab with a power bomb and then use a regular bomb jump to get back out. And so this crab always dies, and I feel terrible for that little crab. But the crab has to die in order to save the galaxy. And Secret Structures stream freezing for a moment, but looks like it's back, demonstrating that Shine Spark through Mount Everest, which is one of the 2 ways to get through that room, and with plenty of energy for the Batoon fight, there's not really much of a reason to do a gravity jump in this particular situation, but in other categories or sometimes in randomizers, you'll see runners choose to do the gravity jump even though they already have the speed booster, because it saves energy. And here is Batoon. I'm not really sure whether Batoon is an animal or a robot, and if it is an animal, is it a worm or is it a snake? I'm not really sure. Or is it something else that is similar in body structure to either a worm or a snake, but neither one of those? I know some fish, for example, have long, stretched out bodies like that. And choosing to use the charged ice wave spazer as opposed to using the super missiles, that's a little bit easier than using super missiles. And if I remember correctly, does roughly the same amount of damage, same number of shots either way. You have Nasix making his way through attic and is doing a spark to finish off the final enemies in the attic. The top of the wreck ship is called the attic, and the bottom of the wreck ship is called the basement, named for obvious reasons, once again. Secret Structures is going to go fight Dragon, the crustacean, shrimp. Shrimps are crustaceans, or lobsters, so sometimes you will see this creature referred to as a shrimp, sometimes you'll see this creature referred to as a lobster. But if you count the number of arms, and there's no crustacean on our planet that I've been able to find after doing probably more hours of research and reading through more Wikipedia page than is reasonable for any typical person. I've not found any creature that has this number of arms on our planet, so clearly is alien. And I wonder if the designers of the game knew enough about anatomy to design it that way, or if it just looked better that way on the screen. These little balls of something that Dragon shoots at you are called goop. Sort of like a really tight spider web is how I imagine it. Secret Structures demonstrating how much damage you can do as Dragon is leaving the screen with super missiles and missiles, and it is such a great way to defeat Dragon as opposed to just fighting Dragon with your beams if you don't know the speed kill. Kevnastics, I imagine, is given this PB is probably going to use the speed booster to kill Dragon. We will have to wait and see. Kevnastics is currently heading through way back toward Dragon. Secret Structures has picked up the space jump, which allows you to do multiple jumps in succession without touching the ground. And not quite getting the Womple jump out of the room. It's not an easy trick. It's one of the two fastest ways to get out of the room, the Womple jump being one and a reverse halfie being the other. But just doing a space jump and from that very rightmost platform turns out to not be too terribly slow and is not too terribly difficult, and Secret Structures finally getting back up there and doing that, and then going over to get Plasma, the final beam upgrade of the game. This yellow room you're about to see after the room with the falling sand is called the Plasma Spark room, because one of the tricks that you do in this room is called the Plasma Spark, and it's something that even top runners have difficulty with. So Secret Structures is going to use space jump and wall jump in combination to get through the Plasma Spark room and then head over to go get the Plasma Beam. Meanwhile, Kevnastics is going to demonstrate short charge to break through those speed blocks to get to Bodwoon, and is going to show us a trick called X Factor, where you use one of those power bombs in combination with your beam upgrade to do one of 4 combo beam attack. The most common in Super Metroid speedrunning being the X Factor, which uses your wave beam and does a pretty good amount of damage to Bodwoon up front. You can see that Kevnastics quickly defeated Bodwoon and has gained some ground on Secret Structures through that particular trick. Secret Structures has that Plasma upgrade and is going to go down now through the toilet. We'll see why it's called the toilet in a moment. It's this long pipe with a bowl at the top, much like a real toilet, except without the curved valve to keep water in it. So it wouldn't actually make a very good American toilet, but on other continents where they have different toilet designs, it might actually work pretty well. Probably know more about plumbing than any computer programmer reasonably should, as a result of having to do plumbing repairs. And here's the Tribbles again, jumping up through the air, greeting Samus with excitement. And Samus says, sorry, I don't have time today. Meanwhile, Kevnastics in Dragon's room, and firing his wave beam at the Aizo love creatures that are writing out that phrase. I actually shouldn't use phrases from foreign languages that I don't know what they mean. I hope that doesn't mean anything I shouldn't be saying on stream. One of the programmers wrote that into the code for someone he was interested in. Little love message. Secret Structure's taking this Croc Speedway path to get to Crocomire. It's one of the 2 speedways in Norfair. The other one we've already seen, exiting Bubble Mountain. And finally we get to see Crocomire. And Secret Structure is going to show just how powerful this plasma beam is. With just a few shots of the plasma beam, the Crocomire fight is over, rather than having to fight Crocomire with a combination of supers and beam attacks. And Crocomire does the moon dance down into the, I believe that's acid. And we can tell that it's acid because of what it does to poor Crocomire, all alone behind this locked door, without a super missile to get out, just lonely without any friends. And then what does Samus do? Samus just comes along with her plasma beam, pushes Crocomire into the acid, makes Crocomire's skin fall off, and it's a very sad story. Not nearly as sad as the story at the end of the game, which completes the opening sequence that we see if we start the game from the beginning. If the last Metroid is in captivity, the galaxy is at peace. But this game is a game full of tragedies, much like Romeo and Juliet or any of Shakespeare's other tragedies. And so it's not at all out of place to have a poor creature like Crocomire falling into the acid. The death of the crab is also very sad. And if any of you kill the fish, the one fish at the end of the game, that would also be very, very sad. It will make a lot of people sad, including myself. But some people choose to do that, and I respect your right to do that. We have Nastix picking up the plasma beam and defeating those pirates guarding the plasma beam. And then coming back through, and we'll also be fighting Crocomire in a moment. Choosing to take the bottom route through the plasma spark room to get to the toilet rather than the top route. And both of those are equally viable options. I believe the top route is slightly faster, but if you fall, it's a good idea to just go ahead and go through the bottom. Unless you're like me and you can't ever remember how to get through the bottom, in which case it's faster just go through the top. And Secret Structure is going to show us, this is the Chronic Boost room, but it's probably not going to show us the Chronic Boost. Those little happy creatures there are called Chronics, and is instead going to demonstrate the combination of the space jump and the gravity suit. Is the easiest way to get through this room, and it's going to take a safety save as well. It's a good idea to take a safety save here. It's one of the 2 save stations that you have the opportunity to use in Lower Norfair. Or that one's actually not quite in Lower Norfair, but it's close enough that we usually consider it part of Lower Norfair. Cadnastic's is going to get the Ice Beam. The Ice Beam is another one of those curiously named beams. So we imagine the Ice Beam as freezing things, but have you ever seen something frozen just hang in midair? No, this is not a freezing beam. This is a time dilation beam. It actually stops time in the region of whatever it lands on or happens to hit. And that effect is, of course, only temporary. And it is also what allows you to stand on the creatures that you have, quote unquote, frozen. Secret Structures about to head into the fight with GT, Golden Chorizo. So we have some people call Bomb Chorizo Bob, and some people call Golden Chorizo Gordon. I think those are very, very cute names. The statue at the end of the game, sometimes people call that one Dusty, turns to dust. And I don't think there are any popular names for either the statue and bowling. So I think Bo would make a really good name. Some great sports players have had that name. And I don't think there are any popular names for the acid statue, although I've often thought that Sid would make a good name for the acid statue. Have Nasix making quick work of Pachamire and immediately heading out, saying, I don't need that grapple beam. And Secret Structure is showing us that Screw Attack, my favorite item in the whole game. I would love for someone to give me a Screw Attack for Christmas. I would use it every single day for the rest of my life. And with combination of the ice beam and the plasma beam and the space jump and the screw attack, very, very quickly getting through the worst room in the game. And the worst room in the game just doesn't seem all that bad when you have that many upgrades. It's still not easy, but it's certainly not the worst room in this category with this route. Gymnastics doing the short charge there to get the blue suit. If you don't do that, then one of those flames is liable to get you, and then you fall down into the acid. And here is Sid, the acid statue. Secret Structures now in Wasteland. I don't know why this room is called Wasteland. I'm curious why it has that name. And we see these two statues at the top of this structure here, resembling the two statues that you see in the first game that are blocking the entrance to Ridley's lair. In the first game, there's one statue blocking the entrance to Kraid's lair, and we see that early on. And there are these two statues guarding Ridley. Oh, there's also the two statues at the lava dive as well, indicating that you're supposed to do Kraid first and Ridley second. Of course, in this game, there are two additional bosses. Often wondered what storyline is for them. How did they get mixed up with Kraid and Ridley? And why weren't they in the first game? Secret Structures now in the Ridley fight. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4th Ridley that we've seen in this match, and with all of the beams, this fight is only going to take 20 beam shots, 20 charged beam shots. Halfway through, Ridley turns a different color, and that's how you know you're halfway through the fight. And some runners, in order to speed up the fight, will then halfway through unload 15 supers, because the super missiles do more damage per second than the beam combos. But in this particular category, we're not going back to the ship before going to Torian. So there's no opportunity to fill up those super missiles again before going to fight Mother Brain. So using supers here can be dangerous. There have been more than a few races that came down to not just of this category, but of other categories, that came down to how many super missiles did the runners choose to use on Ridley to speed up the Ridley fight. So Secret Structure's screen froze for just a moment, but it looks like Secret Structures got out of that Ridley fight okay. With full health, I imagine that means that he picked up the Ridley E-Tank. So it might have meant that there were just enough drops, energy drops, to fill up all of those energy tanks. And looked like he was trying to get the speedball through the block there, but ended up just having to bomb. And using the screw attack on that statue to avoid having to drop a bomb and then power bombs and another bomb, since nobody picks up the spring ball in this category. I think it's possible Zero might have gone to pick up spring ball had he not forfeited, just to kill Shaq Tool. But we will never know, will we? I have Naxix in chat saying heckin' Ridley, but still managing to defeat Ridley as Ridley explodes, and will later be reincarnated as Meta Ridley for future meetups. I don't know all of my Metroid lore, so if I'm getting that one wrong, correct me. I'm not sure how the Talon and Zeba's timelines match up in the canon. Superstructure is using the screw attack and space jump to exit Lower Norfair. Goodbye, Lower Norfair, and good riddance. Meanwhile, Kevnastic, not quite getting the speedball and having to use a bomb to exit Wasteland. And Secret Structure is using the space jump and screw attack to go through Rising Tide the other way, rather than taking the Speedway, which is just below these rooms on the map. I believe this will be just a little bit slower than the other route, so that'll give Kevnasix an opportunity to catch up. And Kevnasix saying hello to the Three Musketeers, but they will be no problem. Those are very, very scary creatures if you don't come here with the right beam upgrades. So in a low percent category, for example, where you don't have plasma beam and you don't have screw attack, and you don't have any viable way to kill them quickly, that can be a very, very intimidating room. But here it's no problem, and Superstructure is showing us the quick way to get, normally to get up through Korean. I thought Secret Structure skipped the Spore Spawn Was I mistaken and Secret Structures did fight Spore Spawn already? Or is he going to go fight Spore Spawn now? I'm not really sure if this is the faster route or to go up Red Tower. We'll see what Cavnestics does. Using the space jump to get through the glass tube room, since the glass tube has already been broken. And Cavnestics going up Red Tower and then going back to the new bridge. So we have some route divergence now. We'll see what happens from here. And Secret Structure's coming back down through Terminator again. The energy tank has already been collected. And wow, look at how much faster these green pirates are when you have these beam upgrades. And remembering that he needs to go back down and defeat Spore Spawn. And that will be the last mini-boss we see this game before Mother Brain. These fire fleas can be very annoying. They swoop down on you. They don't look like they're going to swoop down on you. They don't telegraph their moves very well at all. So even with Screw Attack, Cavnastic's having just a little bit of trouble with them, but is not in any serious danger. First time you're playing the game, though, a lot of people die to those fire fleas before even taking on Spore Spawn. We can see just how powerful that plasma beam is when fully charged. It takes quite a few missiles to defeat Spore Spawn in the vanilla game, because that is where you get your first supers if you're not using the Mach Ball. So either the charge beam or supers are really your only option. It takes quite a few rounds. But with that plasma beam, it's so fast. Cavnastic's heading back past the Decora and remembering that he does have the speed booster and not falling into the Decora pit. Now Secret Structures begins his fight with the angry plant. Three-eyed. Is it 3 eyes or 4 eyes? Is it 3 eyes? 3 eyes we can see. Is there a 4th eye in the back? Sort of reminds me of the creatures from the Transformers movie from back in the 80s that have faces on 4 sides. It shows you a different face. Or is it 5 faces? The Quinticons? Might be remembering that name correctly. And Cavnastic's and Secret Structures both on their way to Mother Brain now. Cavnastic's at G4, the Golden 4, the 4 golden statues, one of each of the main bosses that you fight in the game. Kraid, Fantoon, Dragon, and Ridley. And each one has a little crystal, each one a different color. And as those crystals die out, the statues change color, and then it finally falls into the ground, as you can see. In the original game, there are 2 statues, and you shoot them, and then it forms a little bridge that you can jump across. Of course, you can skip that bridge if you know how to get past it with the ice beam by bringing one of those flying crabs through the door with you. But in this game, creatures cannot follow you through the doors. There is still a way to get past those statues using X-ray, but it's really, really slow and not very much fun to watch. And so I'm glad that I don't have to do commentary through a race that involves X-ray climbing past the 4 golden statues, such as the Rambo category, is I can talk a lot and come up with a lot of things to say, but I would have to talk for a really long time about those statues, and probably nobody wants to hear me ramble on about those statues for eons and eons and eons as they climb through 11 screens of boring X-ray. So I'm glad I don't have to do that. Instead, I get to do commentary for these 2 runners through Turian. In fact, Gymnastics has passed Secret Structures, but Secret Structures has the opportunity to catch up. Gymnastics is resetting the room here, which is going to cost a little bit of time, and getting caught by that Metroid is also going to cost a little bit of time, so that's going to give Secret Structures a chance to catch up. I don't know if Secret Structures does the baby skip, but that would possibly be another opportunity to catch up if Gymnastics were to miss the baby skip and Secret Structures were to get the baby skip, but we will have to wait and see. And I am on the edge of my seat. I don't know about you. Perhaps you're standing, perhaps you don't use a seat when you're watching Speedrunners Arena or the Staggered Mayhem showcase. Perhaps you lie down and you're on the edge of the seat in your mind. So here comes the baby. Cute little baby that we see at the beginning of the game is not so little anymore, and Gymnastics is getting caught by the baby. We'll see, and Gymnastics does remember to turn to the right and save those 40 frames. And does not have enough ammo for a crystal flash, so we'll have to visit the energy recharge station. Secret Structures clearing out the dust bat, and but is damaging down. Okay, so I thought clearing out the bat was an indication that he was going to attempt the baby skip, but also gets caught by the baby. We'll see if Secret Structures remembers to turn around, and no, Secret Structures is pointing to the left, and so that's going to cost an extra 40 frames. Meanwhile, Gymnastics has full energy and gets the final eye door of the game with super missiles. Those eye doors, if you hit them with regular missiles, they close the eyes and it takes 3 missiles. It takes a lot longer than if you just hit them with 1 super missile. So that 1 super missile really saves a lot of time. So then the next thing that's going to happen is the Zebitite skip. And we'll see, is Gymnastics going to do the speed Zeb skip or the ice Zeb skip with a down back, or is going to turn off screw attack? So if you don't know how to do the down back, then turning off screw attack is one of the easier ways to get through this room. I believe the bomb Zeb skip is another viable option. And the spring ball Zeb skip, of course, would be another viable option. For example, if you're running the GT Classic category, which I know Gymnastics does run, but we don't have spring ball in this particular category. So now we have 2 Mother Brains on screen at once, and this is exactly what the Staggered Mayhem Showcase is about. We want to maximize the number of Mother Brains that we have screen at the same time. And the goal is to have all the runners at Mother Brain at the same time. And I have 100% confidence that with a little bit more luck, had Zero managed to make it past Dragon, Zero would be right here at Mother Brain at the exact same time, and we'd all be wondering who is going to get past Mother Brain first. This has been a fantastic match. All 3 runners have fought admirably and run to the best of their abilities. And it has been a whole lot of fun to watch. Now we see the catch-up on Secret Structure screen. We've already passed that on Gymnastics screen. Mother Brain really likes fast food and throws ketchup and French fries and onion rings at you. Until the baby Metroid comes and saves Samus from certain doom. And this is where our Shakespearean tragedy really comes to a climax, because very sadly, this baby that Samus has worked so hard the entire game to save gives its own life to save Samus. I have a lot of respect for that baby Metroid. Someone, Samus, raised that baby right. So I have a lot of respect for mothers in general, but as a mother who adopted a baby Metroid, I have a lot of respect for Samus as well. And we say goodbye to the baby Metroid now on Kevnastic's screen. We still get to see the baby on Secret Structure screen. This is my 3-year-old's favorite part of the game, other than the smiling ship, which we will see once more at the very end of the game. He likes to say, "Ah, the baby, the baby." Then when my second child was in the womb, we had to say, no, it's the baby Metroid. So I think he thought that mommy had a baby Metroid in her belly. No. I'm glad that I am not the parent of a Metroid. That would be interesting to explain when school starts to the principal. Yes, this really is my child. Kevnastic's making his way through the escape and doing Shine Spark. Some runners will take a riskier approach to save just a little bit of time, but the Shine Spark is the safest way to do it. And Secret Structures will be right behind with that Hyper Beam. That Hyper Beam is one of the most powerful weapons in the game, and really just blows through those pirates. Those will be the last space pirates that we see, and clipping through that block that, if you don't have Moonfall turned on, that you will definitely hit beginning of the game and your way down climb. Easy to forget that block is there, and then Kevnastic is going to save the animals. Some people say that you save the animals here, and I think the animals are capable of saving themselves, but I really love saying goodbye to them one last time. I mean, these animals can wall jump. These animals teach you how to Shine Spark, and apparently they can fly a ship. I'm pretty sure they can figure out how to get through a door. You're just waiting to say goodbye. So will Secret Structures say goodbye? That is the question. Kevnastic is finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 40 seconds. GG, good game, Kevnastic. Secret Structures making his way through Parlor one last time. Will Secret Structures save the animals? Secret Structure also is going to save/say goodbye to the animals. So one last time, let's give a round of applause. Give it up for the Decora and the Edikins, who teach you how to Shine Spark, how to wall jump, and how to sing. Do, 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 do. And Secret Structures making his way to the smiling ship. The operation was completed successfully. Clear time 00:40. And Secret Structures has made his way to the ship. Secret Structures has finished in second place with a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 41 seconds. GG. So we are going to have an interview, it sounds like. The last time I tried to do an interview, I had some technical difficulties. So hopefully this will all work out perfectly this time.
Hello.
Hello! Is
Cool.
that Kev Nastic's voice I hear?
Yeah, buddy, man. Thank you so much for jumping in on comms today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. This is a fun hobby. GG on your race. GG on first place.
Well, I got to tell you, it's
That's
because Zero died and Matt Secret Structures misrouted. So other than that,
yeah.
I wasn't playing too hot. I missed every strat that I wanted to make, but it was still a lot of fun.
That happens sometimes, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to get those strats perfect every single time.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't be too bad. I actually just got the PB in this category, the 54. I just got like a few days ago.
Oh, congratulations!
So, yeah, thank you. I've been doing a lot of stuff at work where I'm lifting and carrying a lot of things and just rearranging, and my hands are just my forearms, they're like locked up. So, I just
okay,
kinda,
that explains your comments in chat.
yeah, I knew we were gonna have with the offset, it was going to be really difficult to catch up. So I was just going to have some fun. I don't play a lot of any percent, but I'm kind of coming back to it slowly. So I want to work out some PVs in a bunch of various categories before I go on to my next new Super Metroid grind.
Gotcha. So you're leaving GT behind then?
Nah, I'm probably gonna. So let's see. I just got an any percent PB, a max percent GT PB, and an all bosses PB. So next, GT Classic, Hundo, and then I think I want to try to bring my any percent down below a 52, which I really should be able to do. I lost 3 minutes in Meridia on the run that I got a 52 on, so I have the capability. It just depends on if I feel like running the category enough. It's not that exciting for me. I also want to get another RBF PB. So I brought my time down under 2 hours. So I want to bring it down closer to an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and a half. And then Hundo is my big one. I want to bring that down below 127. And then after that, I'm either going to do Mappo or True Completion.
Well, those are good categories too. I noticed though that you're leaving out low percent and you're leaving out Nintendo Power percent.
I already have like a 113 in Nintendo Power percent, and I suck at Spore Spawn, and I'm really, and it just seems like that category I always blow the Kraid Quick Kill, like more than any other category. So I hate running it because I'm 1.5 minutes behind by the time I get to Varia every time I run it, and then the rest of my run in my PB is really, really good, so it's hard one to run up against. And low percent, I don't think I ever have an interest in low percent. I don't know. The low percent Ridley fight is a lot of fun.
That.
Yeah, the Ridley fight's a lot of fun, but I hate worst room in the game in that category. And the thing that's so bad about that category is even if you beat Ridley, that's not even the hardest part. I think the hardest part of that category is the three Musketeers.
300.
Those
300 shots on Mother Brain.
So, well...
Wait, that's a 300 on Mother Brain, right? Versus...
I think it's 200 with ice.
200, okay.
But I'm not sure.
The categories where you don't get ice, those are really crazy.
Yeah, I can tell. Low percent is going to be the last one I even entertain. I know some people who run low ice that think RBO is harder, and I'm like, nah, just give it a go. It's maybe more stressful in more areas because you have that heated lower Norfair section that can be like 20 minutes. That can be pretty stressful, but like anything else, if you play it enough and you practice it enough, it's only stressful if you're trying to get a good time.
So what was your favorite part of this run?
Just having my buddy Secret Structures out for the race. I was really, really happy. He does some really cool music streams if you're into that, but he does dabble a little bit in Super Metroid. He's actually the reason I stream on Twitch at all.
Oh, wow.
Secret Structures is one of the first people I met in the Super Metroid community. He's the one who got me into streaming on Twitch, so that just the two of us could race. And he's been a friend of mine since I started doing all of this. So I'm really happy that he came out to race. So my favorite part was having Matt in the race today.
That's awesome. It's always more fun to race with friends.
I would agree. I'm really bummed that Zero didn't work it out, but he accomplished killing Shaq Tool, even if it was himself. That's always on the to-do list for Zero, so I'm sure he's marginally happy.
That's true. Zero did kill Shaq Tool.
Yeah. I didn't happen to see where Zero died. Was it Spiky Room? Or
It was at Dragon, I think.
Oh, at Dragon.
Well, I think it was. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I had my attention off of the screen, and then all of a sudden I saw Dragon and then a forfeit.
I know he was practicing.
Okay, so WGG said that was Dragon practice. So okay.
Well, hey, hopefully we can get more people out to do these Staggered Mayhem showcases. We got another one coming up in a couple weeks, I think, and it's supposed to be every other week is I guess a more like meme category, or not really an accessible category.
Right.
Although on the last non-accessible, we ended up doing Hundo because that's what was voted for. But I'm probably going to vote next time for categories that nobody will vote for, like RBO and Max GT. I would love to do an RBO race. Like I don't care if I die 100 times. I would love to race RBO, and it's very hard to find people who want to race those categories. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I joined the multi-extension category tournament, was just so I would get a chance to race some of my favorite meme categories. Because any percent is typically boring. Typically.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, if you're listening to this for the first time and you're interested in speedrunning, this race is one that is accessible. You can see it's a race which has an offset, so the faster runners have to catch up. And as Kevnasix was mentioning just a moment ago, runners vote on what category they want to run. So it really lets runners run the categories that they want to run.
Yeah, we used to get a lot more participation, but maybe the word just isn't out there yet, and there's a lot of other tournaments happening. So I know a lot of racers don't like to, play different categories when they're in the middle of a tournament, or if they're grinding something specific. But my fun with Super Metroid has always been just playing the variety of categories that are offered. So I never really stay at a grind. I get yelled at sometimes by some of my buddies. They're like, your times could be so much lower if you just grinded out a category. And I'm like, yeah, but it's way more fun to me to hop from one category to the next. So like I might continue to stream when we're off here, and I'm not sure exactly what category I'm going to play. I might just mess around with something. We'll see. I'll probably take my stream down and then put it back up so I can have a mic, but we'll see what we'll see what I want to do.
That makes sense.
So, but hey, thank you, Coot, for doing the comms, and WJG for looking us, the restream. It's always really cool. I'm really happy to be a part of all of this, whether it's doing commentary or joining the race. And anybody in the chat, we're always looking for commentators, and we're always looking for racers to jump in and join in. So learn how to play Super Metroid. Come to my stream, and I'll show you some beginner speedrun strats. Most of my routes take a lot of safeties. I put a high priority on finishing the run. And this game is it's much more accessible than people think it is. So hopefully y'all can grab a cartridge or get out your emulator and join us on these races.
It really is one of the most accessible games to speedrun, because anybody can beat the game, and you don't have to be one of the top runners to be able to speedrun it, contrary to what some of the top runners will actually tell you.
No, you really don't.
If you're new into speedrunning, I would encourage you to sign up for the Staggered Mayhem Showcase. It really is a whole lot of fun. I've done it a couple of times myself, and it's one of the easiest ways to get started. I
would agree, for sure. We could probably raid Shopa. He's doing any percent. Shopa's a good raid. Shopa's grinding down below a 4. He's trying to get below a 45.
So that sounds like a good idea to me. WJG will be taking care of that, I believe. And if you have not in chat, thank WJG for all of the hard work. WJG is the one behind the scenes making all of these races happen, not just for the Staggered Mayhem Showcase, but also for the randomizer races that happen on Saturdays, and I think some of the other races, and is somebody you never see or hear, but is one of the most important people involved in these races. So if you're in chat, make sure you thank WJG.
For sure. And feel free if y'all are bored later. I'm probably going to open my stream again in like a half hour or 20 minutes after I get some lunch.
Thank you, Kevnastics. Thank you, Secret Structures. Thank you, Zero. Thank you, WJG. And anyone else who has been helping out. This has been a whole lot of fun, and I think there's something I'm supposed to say at the end of these. See you next mission, right?
See you next mission.